GOAT district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offer's the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice, from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man, y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be trading. And I always be trading. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
What is up, Fantasyland? Thursday night. How exciting. Back in the weekend tailgate, and we have a monster guest tonight. Welcome to all the newbies. Make sure you smash the subscribe button. You don't miss a thing in the district. We're going to help you win your season right here. Hopefully you caught us Tuesday night. We're on the Player Profiler Network. Dan and I rocked a show on Tuesday. Got deep into the Dynasty, redraft, high-stake streets. I mean, if you don't get help out of that show, I don't know where you will. And you can check us out there every Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. And earlier today, for tonight's show, Buffalo are hosting the Tampa Bay Bucks. Very interesting game. Dan and I actually were talking earlier, a little disagreement there on how this goes. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But you can check out the Harry Snowman, and I do a serious breakdown of the game. He brings a ton of information, whether you're betting lines, prop bets, player bets, injury info. We talked about everything about tonight's game. So make sure you check that out on this very channel. We go live Thursdays at noon. And Dan, this man is one of our favorites for sure in the district, especially when we get him in for one of those dirty dynasty shows where we get really deep into it. Tonight, we do have a game coming up in about an hour and a bit. So we got to temper ourselves. But how pumped are you to have Mr. Jax Falcone on tonight, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally love it. Jax, anytime we can get him on our show, we want to have him. And, we've had him on, this is like fourth, fifth time now?
Yeah.
Would you say, Jax?
Yeah, at least. Sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, absolutely, man. Technical difficulties to start this whole thing. Yeah, man. I love coming on this show. I remember the first time coming on the show, I wasn't I knew about you guys, but wasn't very familiar. And, since I've been on the show, I love you guys because I respect you guys as players first. And I always say that when I know someone's an actual player, I take their advice a little bit, more with a grain of salt than those who are just kind of posers out there, which there are a lot of,
Yep.
And it doesn't mean they don't have good advice, but, I like guys who've been in the streets before, and you guys have definitely done that.
Skin in the game
yes,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah, I think we're the same on that. And what's up to the chat? Wheeler, Ruckus, the Harry Snowman, all you guys who appreciate you guys. Drop your questions. We'll be answering those towards the end of the show.
Yep, for sure. So first off, I got to give Jax center stage because you know what? I was up against Jax in a league dynasty startup that Jax actually put together this past year. Theo and I put together a team in there, and I have to admit you kind of beat our ass a little bit there, Jax.
No, that wasn't us, man. You played the other guys.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. That was Unending Rebuild.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
I
was thinking that was your team.
Dan gets defeated right now. Dan was
That's
so
hilarious.
excited. Dan was so excited
I play you
to
in
get
week
that
11. I play you
week 11. Okay.
Yeah, if you look at it. But still, the boy, my JV team beat you is basically what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I think almost anybody could have beaten us last week. We were not good.
I literally had, I said it on my pod, today or whatever. I had Theo on the show, and it was great. But I don't know that I've had a better week of Dynasty in my career. I went 18-2 this past week, and one of those losses was on a rebuilding team that I wasn't trying to win. And of the 20 teams, I was in first or second in points in 14 of them.
Wow. It's
incredible. It's just an awesome run. So.
Yeah, I thought I had a good run last week, but it was not that good. I was more like around the 70% win mark, 75. So, that I'll take that pretty much any time. But but anyway, let's talk real quick about this league though, because it is a really fun league. So tell us a little bit about what your idea was behind it, and who you invited, and what the rules are, and everything else, and how you feel it's going.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun league. I mean, it was a little bit of a step-up league for some. For others, it's sort of what they are used to playing. But, it's a, 250 or something like that. So it's a pretty mid-stakes or high stakes for some. It depends on your perspective on that. But, it's definitely enough skin in the game. There's a couple of teams, yours as well, Dan, that are split, guys that are sharing a team. It's kind of a serious league when there's, co-managers from the jump, and there's multiple co-managers in this league. Scott Barrett is teamed up with Danny Kelly. I mean, Jesus, any more power can come from one team. So yeah, it's just, I thought it was a fun league to kind of put some amateurs, and when I say amateurs, guys that I play with that are pretty solid.
Are you talking about the Podfather, Scott?
Bro, you can throw as much shade as you like. I mean, I'm definitely outscoring his ass. That's all I'm going to tell you. He's in the league, man, and let's just say he is not competitive. But maybe that was his plan or whatever. I'm sure he's got a very very nice defensive for himself. I'm sure if you asked him.
I'm certain that he does. Yes. And so just a little bit about the rules. What did you do on this league that you're really liking rules wise? Anything you wish you could have tweaked, or what are you thinking about that?
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I just to remember too, I think it was 6-point passing touchdown, half-point PPR, half-point first down, and I think it's like another, what was it? There's a pretty significant tight end premium. I forget what it was. Another half-point first down for tight ends, and half-point PPR or something like that. Yeah, so it's like a 2x tight end premium. And there's plus 0.2 per completion, minus 0.3 for incompletion. So completion percentage matters. I think it's minus 6 if you throw a pick 6. So there's some weight to some shit plays. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think the league is great, man.
It's deep too, because I mean, you've got there's like 7 flexes or something like that. Plus all the normal players.
But it's quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, tight end, 4 flex, and a super flex. So start 12, right? 12 teams, start 12. I think that's really solid, and it definitely gets it changes the strategy on the startup. Like, I drafted Jacoby Myers, which has really worked out. But I was just hoping for another guy I could start and flex, as opposed to if you're taking Jaden Reed or Marvin Mims in those spots. You don't have a starter. You have to dig a bit deeper, and sometimes it's hard to find, someone to put in your, the bottom 2 flexes. I've been getting really good production out of the bottom 2 flexes, which has made me a pretty competitive team. I also, nailed on A-Chain, nailed on Puka, so obviously those help.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, a lot of fun league there. We appreciate you putting it together, and
I just traded for Breece Hall, so.
Ooh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I traded for Breece Hall. I think I gave up a first and a second, which was actually very light for most people's liking. But it was before he broke out. It was a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, feeling good.
Yeah, nice.
Taking it down.
Awesome. So let's talk real quick. I mean, I know you and I, we've talked a couple times before on podcasts about the Achilles injuries and running backs, and you were kind of I guess to restate your case, you tell me if I'm right or wrong, but you were saying Achilles with running backs, it's just kind of bad luck that the running backs haven't worked out, because so many other positions have worked out coming back from Achilles.
I just felt like, if we look back at this historical data, there'd never been really an elite running back in his prime that had suffered the injury and not come back. That had never happened.
Right.
There was Monty Ball or something. I don't know, some fucking guys, I don't even remember who the hell everybody mentions, Arian Foster was 31 when it happened. There just hasn't really been one. Akers, Dante Foreman, again, those 2 guys weren't elite when it happened. Akers is probably the best back at the youngest age that's ever had the injury. that I can think of, unless you can prove me wrong here. And
I mean, I think in a way I'd almost put Donta Foreman sort of right in there with him. I mean, Akers was more valued by the dynasty community, but I'm not really sure if
right.
I'm not really sure if he was better, in actual talent.
Who knows, right? Yeah, I mean, I guess just in terms of like however high he was ranked in dynasty running back rankings when it happened, I guess is what I'm.
Right.
You can certainly debate whether he's good or not. That's still up for debate. And the whole point of like the Achilles sapping all their explosiveness certainly makes sense, but at the same time, it just really hasn't. We really haven't had a proof of concept for this, whether it's it does kill them or not. I just thought it's killed a lot of marginal running backs who, Marlon Mack and stuff. It's like, what was Marlon Mack doing anyways? Probably going to be out of the league anyhow, whether he fucking had 4 Achilles, Didn't matter how many damn Achilles he had, 0, 4, 10, 0, it didn't matter. So, from that perspective, I don't think we ever saw it happen. And I was just watching, like, what was it? Terrell Suggs come back in the same season, Kevin Durant, Kobe, all these other, I think Marvin Jones or some shit. Like, there's been a bunch of guys who've come back from it. I can't remember all the different
and
players.
at wide receiver, it's definitely happened.
It feels like it just doesn't matter. So I was like, look, I don't know how much the running back position is different, but I'm just not gonna. I just can't get around these injuries anymore. Like even Zach Ertz. How the hell did Zach Ertz come back so quick and get on the field? I know he's hurt again, but he came out there and was playing week 1. He hurt himself late last season. He's 33-year-old tight end who popped an ACL. It just never ceases to amaze me. So I've started to say that injuries are just like the salary cap; they don't exist.
There you go. I love it. What do you think, JD? What are your thoughts on all that? On the Achilles. Do you think it's a big deal for running backs or not really?
You're on mute. Rookie move there. I was on mute. Yeah, I'll comment on Dobbins especially. Just you guys know how high I was on him. Well, Dan, you do. I was really high on Dobbins and just that Ravens offense as a whole. But Dobbins coming back, end of last season, he looked really good. The last game he played against Cincinnati, and that gave me some hope. I think he was targeted like 5 or 6 times, got a touchdown, over 100 yards. So it looked really good. So it looked promising coming into the season. And we even saw him move up the draft boards, Dan, as we got closer to the season. Just unfortunately gets hurt early again. And now, like, personally, as much as I love him as a running back and when he's healthy, I'm just not even going to go near him personally. Maybe super cheap, and depending on where he ends up in draft boards when we're looking at next year. But I'm not like, going to make moves to get Dobbins and stash him on my dynasty team or anything. We talk about being ageist, and we talked on Tuesday, especially about these receivers, and we've got some running backs, like Foreman and these examples deeper that'll pop. But these older running backs that have dealt with multiple season-ending injuries, it's not good. And I think Jax nailed it. He warned us, Dan. He warned us. We didn't listen.
Yeah. Yep. Without a doubt. So what do you think, Jax, on Dobbins? Is he going to be worth getting back? I mean, because obviously there's a little bit more going on with him than just the Achilles, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny with Dobbins, right? I mean, who knows? But like the way I look at it is like, okay, if we fast forward to August of next year, what's Dobbins going to be? Well, I think he's going to be a high upside, RB2 or something. The way he's going to be drafted in startups and stuff like that. People will be, running the hype train again. So I think if you're a rebuilding team, it's a good way to maybe, give up some production this year, take some production off your team by acquiring Dobbins. I think he's a rebuilding target for me. And I don't know exactly what you want to trade away, but whatever, you know what I'm saying?
I'm with Wheeler. Wheeler.
What does he say? Toast? Yeah, he might be toast. Look, but every running back's toast. Which running back is not toast other than like the top 8? It's so bad, So I mean, yeah, it's not like I'm bending my will to go get Dobbins, but I think he's going to have upside. He's going to have an opportunity. I don't think when you say toast, you think he's not going to play next year?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that he's not going to play. I'm just, I guess for me with Dobbins, we keep seeing all these injuries happen, and I know injury prone really shouldn't be a thing and all that kind of stuff, but I do kind of believe there are some people whose bodies are not built to handle the stress that they put them under. And I'm kind of starting to think that Dobbins might be one of those guys, like he would have to dial it back some, but then if he does, is he still Dobbins?
For me, it goes like this. If he's a depth piece and I get him for cheap, like you're saying, Jax, you get him thrown into a deal or something, fine. But I'm not getting him planning to build around him in my RB room. You know what I mean? He's not one of my top.
No, of course not. No, yeah. Yep. No, I mean, it's just one of those things where, if I'm a rebuilding team, I don't mind taking on the Dobbins risk because I really don't care about production this year. All I care about is what my team's going to look like going into next year. So the loss of value that I have to take for having him not be a productive player this year is fine, because I don't give a shit about scoring.
Plus, you got to think his value can only go up, right? When he comes, come back. You don't even have to wait for him to play. You
can actually flip him if you don't believe in him, right? Exactly.
You'll build equity. You'll build equity when he comes back.
Yep, he's just one of those types of players. He has no value for 2023. So a competitive team who's just rostering him, hey, what if I can use Dobbins in a second to get to whatever running back, Miles Sanders? I think going into next year, you'd rather have Dobbins over like a guy like Miles Sanders. So if you could flip Miles Sanders into Dobbins plus, like even if it's a small plus, that's a win for a rebuilding team for sure.
That's why Wheeler's so pissed. He's like me. He went out and bought some Dobbins, and now he's got that.
I've got a little bit of Dobbins regret. Got him on a few of those best ball teams, but fortunately, I also grabbed a few other players that are kind of papering over that problem. So
it's almost like you have to get burned. You almost have to get burned, right, Jax? Like to learn the lesson. You know what I mean? It's like my 7-year-old. Like she's got to get. She's got to learn the hard way a lot of the times.
Yeah. Well, the running backs will all hurt you. I mean, who was the most durable running back we could have imagined for this season? Nick Chubb. It's like, dude, Nick Chubb. He's not going to get hurt. He's a beast. He never gets hurt. He's such a stud. Can't wait. Ride him all season. And what happens? So.
And you know what? We were kind of right because we all saw what happened to his knee. And then to hear that, it's just a couple ligaments.
Yeah, he's fine.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. I thought his leg was going to come clean off, man.
It was
so terrible.
Brutal.
It was.
I watched that just once, and that was that. I didn't ever see that one again. I saw it. I'm done.
Let me ask you guys about a specific backfield. Deontay Foreman, speaking of depth pieces and older running backs, he put up a serious game last week, giving you over 30 points in some leagues. Roshan's coming back, though, and I know we were excited about Roshan. What do you think happens when they come back? Like, when Roshan comes back, is it still, do you think Foreman's backfield to lose, and you think Roshan comes in more as a backup player, or do you think they're going to split it just down the middle type of deal?
I think in general you're going to see a split backfield in Chicago no matter what. They split it with fucking Darrington Evans. So, obviously I think they're not going to not split the backfield. I don't think it's going to be just Roshan. I certainly don't think it's going to be just Donta Foreman. I think Roshan will be the leader there, but again, coming off that injury, it may be a little bit different for at least the first week back. And then, of course, it gets a little bit more murky if and when Khalil Herbert gets back, because he was certainly the lead dog, most explosive back there. I don't know if he still will be. That, high ankles are not good. So, it's going to be a little murky, and I don't think it's going to be very fun to decide, because you got to put these guys in your lineup, too, in a lot of situations. If you're playing in Best Ball Dynasty or whatever, rostering all of them is fine, because I think one of them should have a good game, not every week, but, you get the picture, But to pick which one it will be on a week-to-week basis, I think it'll be a little bit difficult. For instance, if they come out and, it's a 65-30 in favor of Foreman, I wouldn't necessarily predict that for the week following, and so now you'd have another tough decision. Is this the week that Roshan takes him over?
Could just be game flow dependent. I mean, for them as a football team, it's nice to have those three pieces, in the backfield to play with. But as fantasy football players, it sucks having them because you're kind of guessing.
It's going to be difficult. I'm playing Roshan in a deep league, a deep starting lineup, dynasty league this week, and I don't love it. I'm just, it's kind of like my only option, So in those situations, you kind of put these guys in, hope and pray they score a touchdown or whatever. But I'm not looking at Roshan in that league. I'm not like RB1 back. He's going to get 80%. I don't think that. I don't think that at all. I think the best we can probably hope for, if you're a Roshan guy, as maybe 50 to 60% of the running back touches next week. That would be optimistic, I think.
Yeah, I think that'd be optimistic. I think, probably if I had to guess what we're going to be looking at this coming week, it's going to be, like Donta Foreman handling 70-80% of the rushing attempts, and Roshan being much more involved in the pass game. That type of thing. Which is all right, because I mean, if you're going to be short on touches, if they're coming in the pass game, that helps you not lose so much ground. So.
It's a little bit of fool's gold too, because of the matchup last week. So they're not going to get to play cream puffs every week, and it's going to be a lot. No, it is. It's going to be a lot harder for them to score running back points with Teabag or with Fields, because with Bagent, the upside isn't as much, but even with Fields, the upside's there, but then he steals a lot of rushing attempts and goal line stuff. So it's going to be a little bit dicey. I loved Khalil Herbert going into the season, the player, but I was pretty tepid on, pushing the button on him, because I thought we might see something like this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So what you're telling me, Jax, is you're taking the under on 3 TDs for Donta Foreman?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Wheeler says Foreman is now the ceiling for Dobbins, which I like.
I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you what. Call me crazy, but when Donta came out, I was a pretty big fan. You could pick him up in, I don't know, it was like second, third round rookie drafts, I think, something like that. And he was somebody I was definitely buying into big time. So it was pretty disappointing when he had that Achilles.
Yeah.
And lost a couple of years. But he, props to him for coming back, and he's a.
Totally.
He's a player that NFL teams can count on to do certain things that they need done. So happy to see him back. Don't mind when he I had to start him in a couple places last week, and those 3 touchdowns were pretty sweet. So happy to take those.
A lot of Foreman, a lot of Roshan. So that's why it makes a decision tough. When you gotta you kind of play the hot hand. I think if you can only play one,
no doubt,
or have to only play one.
Yep.
I don't know that you want to play both. But.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kind of switch over and talk a little bit. There's a lot of sub 200-pound running backs coming into the league, and carrying bigger roles than what we've seen for quite some time. I mean, there used to be the day back in, we had Warwick Dunn, Charlie Garner, all that kind of stuff, and then for at least 15 years or so, it's been hey, if your running back isn't at least 200 pounds, he's just not going to get that enough action. He's going to be a third down back. That's about it. And now we're seeing these guys come in. Jahmyr Gibbs gets drafted in the first round. For a guy of his size and everything, that seemed like crazy talk at the time. Devin Achane.
Still crazy talk.
Still crazy talk. But, excuse me, Devin Achane, in the third round, but getting drafted into just the right system. James Cook last year, another small guy, pretty fast. Kyron Williams, not fast, but small. and you would not think that he would be relied on as a bell cow to the extent that the Rams were doing that. So I'm curious, Jax, what do you think about this? Is this kind of the wave of the future? Is this just kind of a weird blip in what's going on overall, or where do you sit on this?
That's a good question. Every year I do the anatomy, right? And that's how I know you guys probably discovered my work was through that anatomy series. And ultimately, it'll be interesting because we'll be putting Jahmyr Gibbs and Devon Achane. I don't like saying it either, Dan.
So weird.
I was saying we should give him a cool nickname. I don't know. Let me see. Something like A-Chain or something like that. We'll just call him A-Chain.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a cool nickname we should give him. But they're going to go into that elite group, and they're going to be part of the data set this year. And it's going to be interesting to see what that does to, the data set. I think we're going to see a lighter running back. I mean, Eckler, DeAndre Swift, he's not that light, but these are some of the lighter backs. Tajay looks pretty good. So I think part of this is because, the bell cow days are starting to become over, and a little bit more specialization, easy for me to say, is more something that we're seeing. Even in Detroit, they spent that premium capital and they were admittedly drafting a B back, right? They specifically said it. Monty's our A back, and we drafted the best B back in the league. And so they drafted him knowing that they were not going to feature him in a way that we were accustomed to. And so I think a lot of NFL teams are doing that. It's going to be a topic of the offseason for me. We're going to be talking about it and how it actually affects rookie drafts, startup strategy, all these things, because we're seeing more and more running back tandems, or even more than that in the backfield. We're seeing fewer and fewer bell cows. How's that going to, change our behavior in rookie draft, startups, etc.? Because I think that's going to push us a little bit more towards even stronger wide receiver builds and even more, zero and hero RB setups, because you just can't depend upon them. And on top of that, they get hurt. So it's like, geez Louise, we've got a lot of landmines to navigate at the running back position. But I think it's the specialization that's leading to this.
Yeah, thoughts on that, JD?
Yeah, I think what's important, and where we see these guys get the opportunity to actually break out and show us what they can do in the NFL, is when they do land in the right system, or with the right mind coaching that is able to eventually get the offense or fit that player properly into the offense. You're seeing it in Miami. They haven't figured it out necessarily with Gibbs yet in Detroit fully. Like you said, he's kind of the B guy. DeMont is the main guy. And that's why these guys take longer, because it's not like this bully coming in that's just going to bulldoze the ball. These guys are totally treated differently. But when you figure it out, they give you the A-chain games. They give you those big 80-yard plays, those big touchdowns, right? And they make your offense way more versatile. The problem is, and when we do see these guys capped or limited as to what they're giving us, and you see Gibby in Washington, like they're not necessarily either being used where they're maximizing what their potential is, or the coaching hasn't figured out yet, whether it's the OC, exactly where to fit that player, how to fit it in. But when we do see it happen, damn man, it's nice in fantasy, especially when you picked up a guy like A-Chain and you see him rock the way he does when he's healthy.
Yeah, I great discussion, first of all, guys, without a doubt. And, I guess the way I look at it is, I think these, the smaller running backs are what colleges are featuring. So, to a certain extent, the NFL is kind of getting pushed towards this, whether they like it or not, in some ways. But also, I think it just kind of comes down to, it's going to become more and more incumbent on us as fantasy players to really be figuring out fit, because like a guy like A-Chan, when we saw him hit Miami, this was an absolute, a hand glove situation. And I'm not talking like an OJ hand in a glove. I'm talking, like a smooth, buttery fit, that is just fantastic. And I think when you see that, you've got to, even if you say, well, he was only a third round running back, and, he's fourth or fifth on the depth chart or whatever they were saying, you got to put all that to the side and say, you know what, this fit is perfect, and I'm just going to buy into it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's right. I had I was a little bit lower on A-Chan coming in until after the draft, and then I was picking him everywhere.
Right.
I was just like, and it felt so weird because of the Anatomy series really didn't like, A-Chan so much, and I had to sort of wrestle with that. And it was like, for me, it was Kendre or A-Chan in a lot of spots. And, I was fading Charbonnet, and I thought that might've been a mistake, until now I don't think it was a mistake. But I was drafting A-Chan every single time. And I'm like, oh shit, I am so overweight with Devon A-Chan. I started taking a few Kendre Millers when I was faced with the decision. I wished I would have never come off that, of course. You guys know that when you're in portfolio, in other words, when you have, more than 10 leagues, if you're 20, 30 leagues, and if you draft the wrong guy 100% of the time, that's a tough pill to swallow. Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson type of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, that's hard to live down. So even if you think it's Reagor over Jefferson, you're taking a few Jefferson to make sure that if he does become Justin Jefferson, you don't totally miss out. And so it's the same thing in those spots where I had A-Chan and Kendre. I wasn't so sure, but I did prefer A-Chan after he went to Miami, and it's so cool, man. It is just awesome to see. I can't wait till he comes back. I've got him on so many rosters. I'm like, come on, let's go. I'm ready. He's in that. I got him in that big game that I got. You guys will be seeing him in week 11 for sure. But It's like, come on, let's go. He's
The best thing then that could have happened for my A-Chain portfolio was the Dalvin Cook rumors that were just keeping his value down.
Yeah.
I mean, that was gold during that time, because everyone was so sure he was going there and he was going to kill A-Chain's value.
It's true.
And the little injury he had too that kind of kept him out of big part of training camp. That also kept the price down.
Yeah, that helped me get him in Scott Fishbowl for sure. And of course, I'm third in the fucking Scott Fishbowl, so eat it. Everybody, eat it.
Third place overall.
Yes, sir.
Are you really? Look at you.
Damn.
Nice.
Damn.
I'm third in my league, but I'm not third.
That's
in the
good
whole
enough,
thing.
dude. That's fine. Same thing. Imagine if I said that I was third place. And you're like, in the whole thing? No, just in my league. You know?
Yeah. Well, I was kind of almost. I was like, wait, is there a punchline coming here? That's great.
I feel like that's like when guys are flexing that they've got FFPC league champions from the players or whatever it used to be, football guys, and I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, champion's the guy who won the whole thing. Like, just win your league. I got a bunch of those. That doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Advancements. That's what they call it.
That's my little rant.
Participation trophies.
You're getting some props there in the Dan. Before we go to the next one, because we do encourage everyone to be dropping some nice questions. Let's sprinkle another one in here. Just a quick one. Full PPR. Should he trade Waddle for Jacobs? I feel like any of these questions is very roster dependent. I don't know about you guys.
Is that also redraft or dynasty?
Yeah, that's my question.
Give us a bit more context on that.
I think in redraft I might actually do it. In
I would.
Dynasty, no chance.
Yeah, if I needed a running back in redraft, I would make that trade.
Yeah,
I think that's the answer. If it's dynasty, you slam it. If it's redraft, I like it, especially if you need running back.
Yes.
And then we talk about that actually probably in our next question, but we talk about some of these like fake wide receiver 1Bs that are really wide receiver 2s, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So yeah, let's just move into that. Because on Tuesday night, JD and I were talking, Jax, about the elite wide receiver 2s on their own teams. Guys like T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle. And they really get pushed
Cooper
up.
Kupp.
Both Cooper, yeah. There you go.
That was good. That was a good one. Slid that one in. Nice.
Woo. All right. Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, so there's another one.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. I like
Perfect.
that one.
Yeah,
there we go.
Okay. Now you know how the game is played. Well done.
Yes. All right. But, we got these, they're young, they're dynamic, all that kind of stuff. They're, the only thing wrong with them is they got a better wide receiver that's running next to him, right? And weirdly enough, I mean, especially in redraft, they really got pushed up, into like the second, third rounds. And of course, in Dynasty, everybody's all over them. These are all, I believe, top 12 wide receivers, or pretty darn close to it in Dynasty. And I guess my question is, looking at the performance this year, are we overvaluing in Dynasty? Or do you think that, the fact that they are so good, you just got to be patient, all that kind of stuff? What's your window? Does it, does that matter? So let me throw that to you, Jax, and make of it what you will.
Yeah, that's a wonderfully articulated question, by the way. The way you did that.
Me throwing crap at the wall.
It was so good. I totally followed you the whole way through. Look, another one of those guys is Jordan Addison, right? There's a bunch of these guys that it's hard to determine who's an alpha and who's a beta sometimes. We might have thought that Jahan Dotson was moving into that alpha status, relegating Terry McLaurin. I did take Terry McLaurin over Jahan Dotson in that big game that we're playing together, and at first I felt like an idiot, and now I'm feeling really good about it. So it's hard, because it literally, even after I took McLaurin, I'm like, that was stupid. I should have taken Dotson, So we can even after you make a good pick, sometimes you can second guess it. It's just how it goes. With the Waddle, look, I've moved T. Higgins down. I've gotten off a couple of shares of T. Higgins. I think he topped out in his first 3 seasons at like 107 targets or something, 110, something like that. He's never really gotten the lion's share. I know that there was some statistics about when they played together last year. T out targeted, Jamar, but look, those are, I just can't get there. Jamar's the alpha there. It's tough, man. But I think in a lot of these situations, there's usually enough, especially like in Miami, where there's such a concentrated target shares. I'm not too worried about Waddle, as evidenced by that question before. I would definitely take Waddle over Jacobs in Dynasty easily. I think they're still there, and things will change, right? Tyreek Hill will move on. I think T. Higgins probably plays for a different team going forward. You see what I mean? So these things will change, but you do have to limit their upside given their situation.
Yeah. So what do you think about a guy like Jordan Addison, who's probably locked in? I mean, let's just assume that Justin Jefferson's going to sign a deal that keeps him in Minnesota for at least another 3-4 years. For the extent of Addison's rookie contract, basically.
Yeah.
What do you do with a guy like Addison?
I really love Addison. I loved him coming out. I mean, he was definitely my locked-in wide receiver too. I made it a point to trade from the 8 spot to get to the 7 spot to be able to take him in a number of leagues. I didn't want to have to choose between the Kincaid, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, HN. I thought that Addison represented a tier break in our rookie drafts. Whether I was right or wrong about that, even time will tell. I'm feeling good about those decisions in hindsight. But yes, for those reasons, I do like Addison. I have him right there with Devontae Smith in Dynasty. I have him at wide receiver 14. Right after Ayuk and Devontae Smith, just ahead of DJ Moore and Drake London and even Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think he's at least in that group of players. What's that? A healthy wide receiver 2 in Dynasty. All
right, sounds good. So
hold on, Dan. I just want to add one thing. I think one thing with those second those 1B wide receiver 2 fake alpha guys, I think the reason we like them in Dynasty is they almost offer safety. If you think about it, because even if they don't necessarily perform for you the year that you draft them, you've seen them have that game where they were out targeting the one, the alpha, the true alpha, or when the alpha was injured. You saw them have that 2 touchdown game. We just saw it from Addison. So now you always have that in the back of your mind. Like he has that in him. So if he goes to another team, and we see this with Higgins, or if he's for whatever reason going to be the true alpha for a long stretch, you have that safety net. But is that necessarily the best way to go when you're looking to build a team, especially if you're playing redraft and you want to win this year? Is that really where you should be spending that 2nd round or that 3rd round capital? I think that's the question, right? And that's differentiating between dynasty and redraft.
And I think it always comes back down to if you can trade within a tier, or at least a perceived tier for you, and get profit, we should be doing that. Like I'll ask you guys, these guys were drafted back to back in the real draft, in the NFL draft. One is the alpha, one isn't the alpha. Who do you prefer between T. Higgins and Michael Pittman in Dynasty? Right?
Yeah.
I have them back to back. So, I mean, I'm not saying that, definitely there's a right answer. I'm saying that's actually a tough decision. So, I guess what I'm getting at is if you could trade T. Higgins and get Michael Pittman plus, I think that's the right move, is kind of what I'm getting at.
I think you're right. I think those are kind of the guys that you're probably moving, right? Or you go the other way and you add to your fake alpha and you get yourself a true alpha.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. T. Higgins plus to get you up, to a Garrett Wilson, of course. Yeah. What about because you could say the same thing for Jalen Waddle and Jordan Addison, or Jalen Waddle and Brandon Ayuk. In other words, if you could sell Jalen Waddle and get one of those other 2 guys plus, I think I'd do that too. What I mean? Mm-hmm. So selling some of these guys on name brand, where they sort of have a big name brand recognition to get down a couple of rungs may not be crazy. I asked my guest the other day, Trav, how far off these 2 guys were, and I'm just curious. I mean, I know one is ranked higher, but T. Higgins versus I'm drawing a blank. The Nico Collins, right? So T. Higgins and Nico Collins, how far apart are those 2 guys in Dynasty? And what would you have to get with Nico to go from T to Nico?
Yeah, I think I would if I had T, I would probably be selling him for Nico plus.
For sure, but how much?
Yeah.
Are they close?
I don't know. I mean, I think you would have to. You would. I don't know. You'd probably want more than a second.
2 seconds? Yeah, 2 seconds, or would it take a first? That's kind of the question.
Yeah,
I don't know if he get a first.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he could, but yeah, 2 seconds I think might be within the realm of possibilities there.
Right,
For sure.
I don't know if the Nico Collins owner is buying Higgins with his Nico Collins though, because I feel like he probably sees now that he can get that production and keep his pick.
Yeah. I had someone do something pretty cool. They offered me the basic gist of the trade was it's a deep starting roster. It's like 14 teams start 14. It's fucking nuts. But so really every bit of depth matters. And he asked for Nico and my first for no. He gave me Nico and Achan, and I give him Higgins and a first. Higgins and a first, or Nico and Achan.
I'm high enough on Achan. I'd probably take that side.
Yeah.
You guys like that side?
Yeah.
For sure. Are you contender?
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
So later first, anyways.
Yeah. First, it has to be. Yeah. There's like 4 or 5 dominant teams, and I'm one of them. Yeah.
Dan was trying to make a deal. I don't remember if he got it through or not, but he was making a deal for Achan. And I feel like if you have the opportunity to get him while he's injured, I say that often. Like, it's not always about the price you get it. Sometimes just the opportunity being there, just take it. You know?
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure the guy who sent it to me is listening and just fucking withdrew it. So
that's why
it always goes.
You can't talk about them until they're actually accepted. You know?
Exactly. Yep. I forgot this is live. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the way I look at those guys is, it's kind of almost like having a race car but with a governor on there. And it's like you can't really take the governor off until they're out of that situation where they're with that other elite wide receiver who's getting paid more than them, and it's just they're going to demand more targets.
Yes.
It's like when you've got AJ Brown and you're paying him what is it, $22 million or whatever, and you've got Devonta Smith on a rookie contract, you're going to feed AJ Brown first and foremost. It's not to say Devonta Smith can't have great games, but you're going to feed AJ Brown. So it's just going to put a limit on what you can get out of Devonta Smith. Injuries aside, of course. So anyway,
you want an awesome one? Who would you prefer in Dynasty? This is a serious question. Jacoby Myers or Calvin Ridley?
Oh, Jacoby Myers. For sure.
I have him ahead too, yeah.
Yeah,
sure. I was in a big Ridley guy coming into the season. I mean, I kind of regret it when he had that one big game, but I haven't since,
Yeah.
However, if you've got Calvin Ridley, this is going to be the week to start him. Pittsburgh is
Jacksonville's
terrible.
On a roll. You know what I mean? They're on a roll.
Pittsburgh is terrible defending outside receivers. So.
Yep.
This is your week. So with that, should we kind of go over and get into some of the questions
that
we've had in the chat?
Right now,
okay.
I'm trying to scroll through.
And while he's doing that, I'll just ask you real quickly, Jax. What about Puka Nacua? I mean, clearly you're pretty high on him. Where do you have him in Dynasty right now? Wide receiver what?
So I'm looking at it right now. Do you want to guess?
I'm going to say wide receiver 5.
Wow. What about you, Gene?
For Puka?
Yeah, what do you think I have him at?
Oh, yeah, you probably have him high. I mean, we talked about it the other night. Dan had him between 5 and 8. I think I had him like between 8 and 11 type of thing.
I have him at 8. I think it's hard to move him ahead of Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra. CeeDee Lamb, you could actually make a pretty strong case. And I love CD, so that one hurts a bit. But that one's the one that maybe I could move CD back. But, other than that, I mean, it's Chase Jefferson, Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown. Those are really difficult to get ahead of. I would imagine that's where people have him fifth behind those guys. I mean, I couldn't imagine moving him ahead of any of those guys. And then Tyreek, I mean, I get it, man. He's older, but boy, oh boy, he's like basically a league winner. So if you're playing for real money, I guess I'd rather have the guy winning me actual money. Although maybe Puka wins you the money. I don't know. But Tyreek is a real game changer.
Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, when you got a wide receiver who's scoring 26 points a game, in a PPR, and his replacement level is 13 points a game or something like that. It's like having almost an entire extra player on your roster. It's in your starting lineup. So that's the value of those ultra productive guys.
Guys, smash the like button. Jax and Dan, I mean, some awesome discussion tonight, guys. Some great information all around. Let's get to some question here. Go Jin. Am I getting too cute starting Kincaid tonight over Evan Ingram?
I don't think so.
I think it's a wash. It's a coin flip. No, between
Close
those two
enough.
right now. Knox out.
Knox is out. It's not crazy. I mean,
No.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's fair to do.
I'll pull up my weekly rankings here.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to do a double check. I mean, I would prefer. I'm just looking at the. It's Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah,
And then tonight Tampa.
Tampa.
I could go either way. I'd probably go with who has been better just this year, which is Ingram for me. I don't know.
They're super close. I was thinking they're both back end tight end ones, and I think that's where they'll end up for me on my weekly weekly rankings. I mean, it's funny, when you're on Thursday, sometimes you feel rushed into that decision. So sometimes if the guy's healthy and playing, you just shove him in there and go from there because, you never know if Ingram gets a late, tweaks an ankle tomorrow or something, So if they're that close, I'd just like to play the guy on Thursday. And also you get something to cheer for.
Right. And the thing is with these kind of decisions too, I mean, there's going to be enough, if you happen to pick the wrong guy, whichever way you go, there's going to be enough ammunition for you to kick yourself either way. So
Exactly. And I'm going to say this too about the last second Thursday night games. If you're watching the previews and you're getting all pumped up because you're seeing your guy in the highlights and you go make your switch at the last minute, do not do that. I have never won doing that. I've always regretted it, especially the Thursday night, because then you have all weekend where you're just seeing your guy with like a 3.2 and you're seeing the other guy like going off for 2 touchdowns. And
yes,
that's why we're doing this show, so that people are not sitting there watching all that. They're paying attention to what we're saying, and they're focused on what's important, not focused on some dumb highlight.
yes.
So Ruckus is asking DK and Kittle for Andrews. I'm guessing Dynasty. Right? Would imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
Ruckus, let us know if you can.
That'd have to be a pretty substantial tight end premium or something like that. Otherwise, I'd take the DK Kittle side. Although I don't know, man. Yeah, probably. Again, more context would be nice.
Yeah.
If your team is loaded and you're just trying to get an advantage at tight end, and DK is just another guy for you because you have so much wide receiver talent. It's possible in a dynasty league that DK is almost expendable, for lack of a better term. Maybe it makes sense, but obviously the value's on the other side. But it's hard to get rid of studs, and Andrews is a stud, so it's tough to get rid of him sometimes. But at the tight end position, if it's not a premium at all, you'd rather just take the Kittle upside games. They're going to be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got to start question. Start 2 needs 2 of 5. So Nico, Devontae, James Cook, White, and Deontay.
I'm not sure which
I
White
appreciate
that
you
is.
guys. I'm probably
Rashad?
sitting White out of that crew.
Rashad White?
Man.
I like playing Rashad
Yeah.
White.
That's
Where
tough.
is he at?
It is tough. PPR.
'Cause I'm definitely-
Deontay's nice.
Yeah, I think Deontay, though, he didn't practice today.
Oh, no?
So, yeah, I'd be a little bit concerned about that.
Devontae's been trash, which means he's going off any moment now.
Exactly.
No, it's true. I mean, he is due, and he's a great player, so it's really hard to sit him. And, Cook, this may be your last opportunity to play him. And, by the way, go get Tajay Spears right now if you can.
Mm-hmm.
I'd even, backfill with Julius Chestnut a little bit. It's possible that they trade Henry, this week, and if they do, Spears is going to be a potential league winner. So redraft and dynasty. Certainly, I have him in a redraft league, and I'm just stashing him. You gotta keep Tajay Spears, on the burner.
All right, I'm going to come up with a definitive answer.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to say Nico, and then I'm going to go with Deontay, with Devonta as the backup in case Deontay doesn't play. But the running backs tonight, I just don't love either one. I'd be, especially if you need points, you need a lot of points. I think you gotta shoot for the bigger upside guys when that's going to be Devonta or Deontay. along with Nico.
I agree with that. I was going to go Nico and Devontae, but I think you can go Devontae or Deontay's fine. But if he's dealing with an injury, I'll lean with the healthier guy in the better offense. So give me Nico and Devontae.
Yeah, and I'm the worst at start sits, so I won't even fuck
But
or something. You know, you have to listen to my ass, and he'll just say, "That fucking idiot."
All right.
Yep.
Do we have any more?
Whatever JD says, man, that guy's running hot. He's running pure. I mean, JD, you know, he's just running pure.
What was it, 1 or 2 years ago? JD and I, we have several teams together. He was so hot and I was so cold. I was just like, you know what, JD, you're setting all our lineups. I am not touching them anymore.
The start sit could kill you, man, and that's what sucks, right? Is you can build the best team, you can have everything perfect, and then you just start the wrong guy. You have 2 stud tight ends or whatever it is you got to fit in, and it's like,
Yep.
Did we do that one? Oh no, go ahead. There's a good one. You got one, Dan.
Okay, yeah. Full PPR. Would you rather start Waddle or Olave?
Let's see. Waddle, New England. Give me Olave.
Yeah, Saints are playing who again? They're
The Saints are in Indianapolis.
in Indianapolis. Okay.
And then Waddle's home against New England.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me Waddle. Especially, I think, isn't Hill a little banged up?
No, he came out and practiced in full today. I don't know.
Either way, I'll take Waddle. Waddle at home. They're gonna.
I'll take Olave. I don't know. It's close though.
Yeah, the fact that you have to choose between those two says more about your team. So congratulations.
Yeah, good for you.
Exactly.
Bragging. Way to go,
Yeah,
brag.
very real humble brag there.
Yeah. Guys, I got to make a tough choice. It's either Amon-Ra or Devontae Adams. What do you think I should do, man? I mean, I've got my flex is fucking stacked.
All right, guys, we're at like 53 here. There's a big game tonight. You got to go check those last-second lineups. So we're not going to keep you guys till 8. We don't want to keep Jax either too much because we know he's got to go check his lineups. He's got to keep that 18 and what was that? 18-1,
18-2 last week. So it ain't happening this week, but that's all right.
Remind the peeps where they can find all your greatness. One of my favorite podcasts for sure is definitely listening to you go on those longer format podcasts, which I miss doing with Dan and Theo for sure because we used to rock those all the time. But remind the peeps where they can find all your goodness, man, on the X Machine and anywhere else.
Yes, sir. You can find me on Twitter at Dino Game Theory. Find us at the Undropables, theundropables.com. And actually, your very own Theo Greminger was on my show. It just dropped just recently. That is the Undrafted podcast. Search the Undropables, search the Undrafted, search Jax Falcone, whatever. It's there, man. It's awesome. It's a great show. Theo was great as usual. I did a little rant this week, so it was a lot of fun. So we did good. It's a fun show.
Rants are good. Theo's good. Theo's awesome. We're trying to get him back on here. Now that he's, big shot, it's hard to get him.
Big
so
time,
we
yeah.
got to get his people, and it's a big thing. Anyways,
It's a big
Dan, tonight was a blast, dude. Always a blast rocking with you tonight. You got anything to add before we close it out?
No, yeah, we gotta work on Theo though. I mean, he's sort of like one of those, Saturday Night Live alums who comes back to guest host all the time. So that's kind of where he's at now. So we gotta get back on to guest host.
Okay, we'll get him back on, and we got Mike Shopes, Dan, next Thursday. He'll
Yes.
be on. He's probably on the radio tonight, actually, before the Buffalo game. And lucky for us, Jax came in and saved the day with the reschedule. But we're gonna keep lining up some bigger guests as we go here. We had to definitely get Jax in this time of year, and we'll get you on towards the back end of the year as well, buddy.
I can't wait. Yeah, and anytime you need me, I'm always here for you, and I love being on the GOAT District. So thanks.
Appreciate it, man. Guys, go smash your week 8. Enjoy the game tonight. Smash your props, your lines, your bets, your parlays, same games, whatever you're rocking, man. I hope you get a W. We'll check you all later.
Go district, the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text. That trash offers the best. You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice, from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man, y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.